Hey everybody, it's Michael, and today I am here with Scott Drexler, Maui wedding photographer. And today we're going to be answering a bunch of questions about when it's time to upgrade EF versus RF lenses. We're going to tell you our favorite lenses. I'm going to explain to you where I've been and what the dilemma is. And I'm also going to give you a quick sneak peek by our sponsor, Maven Filters. That's me, Maven Filters. I'm so pumped about this. We are imminently about to launch our Kickstarter. There's gonna be some more information coming about them. Scott is a Maven Filter ambassador and user. Thank you, Maven Filters.
So Michael, where have you been?
Okay, so I have been traveling for months out of this year, probably about 2.5, 3 months, to Africa to do aid work. So I get a lot of messages, hey, where are you? What's going on? And I've posted some videos about this, but basically I am getting pulled into the world of aid work more and more. And I was just in Ethiopia. I can't really talk about it on social media because there's security issues. I can't say, hey, I'm in this country right now for certain reasons. But when I come back, I can talk about it. So Ethiopia, just sounds crazy. They had a bunch of Pfizer vaccines, millions of them, that they were not able to move around. They had 3 million Pfizer vaccines at their central storage, and they couldn't move them to their hubs. So we went in, I went in, brought some training. We showed them how to do it, how to move the vaccine safely. So Ethiopia now has ultra cold capability. So it's minus 60 degrees Celsius. It's a big country. It's a country that needs a lot of help, 115 million people. So what's happening is that when these aid missions come up, I feel really torn. You know, I feel obligated because it's a great opportunity. It's really helping people. And I hate to say it's more important than photography. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So that's what's going on. That's why you don't see me when I come back. You know, I'm trying to do the training videos, working on the filters, but it's probably going to continue. I apologize. Just know that when things settle down, I will be back. I will be back. I haven't given up on photography or anything like that. So that's what's been going on. Tell us what's been going on with you.
Well, I took a little hiatus there during COVID shutdown. We didn't have many visitors to the island, so the wedding industry was devastated. And
that's right.
Yeah.
We shot our last video before COVID. Was that right?
Yeah.
So before COVID, like what was a normal, how many shoots would you have per week?
Probably 3 to 5.
Wow. So almost every work day.
Yeah.
Do you have weddings on Sundays?
Oh, yeah.
There?
Yeah. I have to look at my watch to know what day of the week it is. It's
so almost every day.
Every day.
And so what happened during COVID?
So we had the ban on traveling. Yep. And so
it was dead here for a while.
Yeah, it was dead. There were airplanes in the air. I mean, it was dead.
Did you have weeks where you didn't have any shoots?
Oh, I had months.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah. It
was very dead here. I mean, right now you drive, there's traffic everywhere, but you know, during COVID, it was like there was no cars on the roads. It was kind of nice.
Yeah, it was nice. The fish and the wildlife kind of all bounced back from the over tourism, perhaps. But yeah, now Maui's open for business, and we have as many or seemingly more visitors here.
It seems like it.
Yeah. And weddings.
And so your weddings are back to where they were before?
Yes. Yeah.
You've had an interesting journey. We're going to be talking about EF and RF lenses. I have gotten multiple questions from my Facebook user groups. I have a 90D group. I have a Canon R7 group. And they're asking me all these questions about RF lenses because there's a very tight pixel density, 32.5 megapixels, a lot of stencils crammed into a tight space. So if they don't have the right lens, the focus seems a little off. And I'm going to say this is going to sound terrible. Sometimes people are really happy with their images and they'll put them on Facebook and they're like, hey, Michael, that lens you said that doesn't work. It's fine. And I'll look at it and it's not really sharp to me. I will not tell them. I do not interrupt. If somebody's like really happy with their work, I'm not going to say, yeah, but it's not sharp unless they really ask. So they're asking me, you know, is that 100 to 400 version 1? Can you use it on the R7? And I'm like, no, you cannot. You can't. It'll work. It'll focus, but you're not going to have any sharp shots. And people will say, but I got this image, and they'll post it and it's not sharp. And I'm like, okay, well, good job. You know, I won't ruin it for them. But the question that I have for you, because you've been through all this, is how do you know when to upgrade?
I think when you're making money and you're doing well in your field professionally, and you feel like it would help add to your creativity or help be a finer product for your clients, it might be time to make that upgrade.
So To give you some background, Scott was shooting on 5D Mark IIIs. You had the Holy Trinity, right? 7200 2.8, 24 to 72.8, and 16 to 35 2.8, right? That's a $6,000-$7,000 worth of camera lenses, maybe even more brand new. So when mirrorless happened, it was the R and the RP. He started on the RP and eventually migrated to the R5. What about those who are not pro shooters? When does a non-pro shooter know? So there's gear acquirement syndrome, where you just want to buy gear because it's fun, right? Versus something you actually need. Is there a way to tell the difference between those two things?
I mean, it's case by case. It's up to the individual, really, and what your finances and the budget will allow you to do. But I will say it's such a game changer going to mirrorless. Having electronic viewfinder is crazy good.
So you don't miss your DSLRs?
Not at all. I haven't shot it, but maybe a frame just to see that it still clicks since going mirrorless.
Interesting. So the advice that I give, because I deal with a lot of beginning photographers who may not have a huge budget, is you should only upgrade when there's something specific you can say about your gear that is lacking. So if you were thinking about going, let's say, from a 90D to an R7, you and I would have a conversation. I would say, tell me what you don't like about your 90D. And if you sat there and you can't answer that question, I would tell you to stay with your 90D. But there's other photographers, they'd say, well, I don't like this or I don't like that. And then I'd say, okay, well, then that's your reason. If you're just buying stuff to buy stuff, don't worry about it. Now, there's also the question, I've gotten many questions about this, is Canon is phasing out their EF lenses. They're discontinuing them. Is it the time to sell EF glass? What do you think?
Yeah, perhaps.
It might be. So my answer on this is kind of, it depends on who you are, because if you're shooting and you're happy and you're getting good results now, it's probably going to be that way for a couple years. If you're happy with what you have, stick with it. You know what I mean? So if somebody's invested, let's say they bought a 90D and they bought that 100 to 400 version 2, and they got, 5-6 grand sunk. It's not easy to want to shift over. We'll talk about the adapter in a second. But if you're happy with what you're using, it's going to be good for another up to 5 to 10 years. No problem. So to those people, I would say, yeah, don't upgrade if you are happy with what you have. On the other hand, if you have lenses that are sitting on your shelf that you have not touched for 2 years, probably time to sell them. 2 years is kind of like my window. And, it'll be interesting to see what happens with EF lenses, if their value will increase because Canon's not really mass producing,
most like collector's items.
Yeah. What's happening is Canon is really starting to focus on they've been doing it for years. The RF line is it. And they're doing something very strategic that I think is so smart, is they're basically coming out with all their L lenses, but they have these more affordable lenses that are really good and they're really affordable. So when you got the R7, the R10, these more affordable APS-C mounts, Canon will continue to slay it. I think they have 50% market share right now for interchangeable lens cameras. They are killing it. And so lots of great things. But yeah, my advice on the 90D users, if you're happy with it and you can't articulate what's wrong with it, stick with the 90D. If you can articulate it, then it's time to jump over to something like the R7. The R7 does better in a number of different things. For example, rapid movement, up and down, back and forth, the erratic kinds of stuff. You got 2 cards. I'm very impressed with the R7. $1,500. Canon was doing something very interesting there. It's almost like feels like a test. It's not a 7D Mark II replacement. I'll have a review coming on this later. So as a professional, you love eye detection because you don't need to put the focusing square like you used to on DSLR. That saves you time, right?
Yes.
So what are the differences you're seeing between EF lenses versus RF lenses in terms of the focusing accuracy and speed on the R5?
As far as that, I don't necessarily notice that much of a difference. I will say that my in-focus hit rate ratio is way higher.
So your percentage is higher.
Percentage is crazy good.
So what we're seeing on the older EF lenses that you were adapting over, so you can adapt EF to RF, is that the percentages weren't as high, but the focusing speed was still pretty good. So we're interested to know, tell us about the lenses that you transitioned over to. What are you shooting your weddings with now?
I have just acquired the 28-70 f2.
That is a beast. That you have it right here. It's
I
right
have it.
there.
I have it. It's amazing. I love that lens. And it almost feels like I can be a one-camera shooter with it now. It's so good.
We were talking the other day, and it was basically like you don't really use anything else. Is that right?
Well, I have my 7200, but now having the weight, because the 28-70 is heavy.
Yeah.
So I try to be a little bit more thoughtful in my shooting, and perhaps set down the 7200 where I would have it on a strap on me all the time. Now I will have it off to the side a little bit and go a little lighter running gun style.
Do you, in terms of sharpness, are you seeing more sharpness with it? Is a zoom.
Yes.
Primes tend to be sharper than zooms. Are you seeing sharper images with it?
I would say is as good as my prime lenses that I would have shot with.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you want to grab that real quick? Your 28-70?
Yeah, I need 2 hands to pick it up. It's that heavy.
Go grab it.
Okay.
Do you need help?
No.
So I had a really interesting exchange about a week ago with somebody who was watching my videos. He was a lens designer, and generally speaking, I say primes are sharper than zooms. And that's usually the case. They are. So he left this comment, one of these wise guys. No, zooms can be made sharper or as sharp or sharper than primes. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's possible. And then we got into the discussion, and he basically admitted at the end, it's really expensive to do it. So what he was saying was zooms are not as sharp as primes because they're more expensive to do it that way. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Sure. Primes have fewer elements. The formula of the optics is more precise. It's easier to figure, you may have 3 or 4 lens elements where you might have 20 in this, right? To correct it. And so the problem is that as you're changing your focal length, every focal length has to be corrected because the light's bending in different ways. And so what happens is you get more and more lens elements in there, and it becomes a big, heavy, expensive $3,000. You're gonna tell the story about how you they're hard to find.
Yeah, it's hard to find.
Scott almost got ripped off.
I did get ripped off.
You did get ripped off. So he's gonna tell that story. But this is what you get when a company puts the engineering, the lens elements into a zoom lens that behaves almost like multiple primes. So from a cost perspective, as somebody who's working in the industry, it makes sense for him to spend $3,200 on it because number one, you don't have to carry around all these extra lenses. Number two, it's almost as sharp or sharper. It's a magical lens from what I have seen. It defies most stereotypical zoom things that we know of.
When you told me about this lens and I read reviews about it, I heard it was such a game changer. And so I was skeptical. So I used my Canon professional services and borrowed one. They have a loaner program. And so I used it and I fell in love with it. Had to return it after the week.
Dang.
And then I started searching to purchase one. And of course, Canon's is just, out of stock. And B&H is out of stock. Adorama is out of stock. Everyone's out of stock. Can't find them. But it wasn't that uncommon to when I purchased my R5s. I couldn't find them either.
Yeah.
But I found them on Prime.
Amazon Prime.
And I bought my R5s on Prime, Amazon Prime, and I got them. They were great. So
stoked, pumped about that.
Yeah, great.
I remember when he got him. He was really happy.
Oh, so happy. And then, so I thought, well, I'll try Amazon Prime for the 28-70. So they had it in stock, and it came. And the day it came, I was so excited.
I remember this. He texted me.
I was like, it's here. So I was just looking at the box and looking at it and opening it up. But I'm opening the box and I'm pulling it out of the box, and it was way lighter than this. It was like, I kind of remember it being heavier than this. And I put it down, and this thing has the crazy, 95?
Yeah, the filter.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when I grab it, it seems smaller. It's like, my hand grow? What's going on? And I put it down, and I'm like, something doesn't seem right. So I go back to the box. I pick up the box. The box is heavy. The box is empty. The box is heavy. So I'm pulling out the little styrofoam, the little book.
Crazy.
And I'm like, what the heck? At the bottom, underneath the little piece of cardboard, someone had put a piece of lead.
What?
Square piece of lead in the bottom of the camera box.
So it would weigh the same amount as a genuine 28-70 f2.
So I'm freaking out. I'm like, what the heck? I've been scammed. So
And you bought it through Amazon.
Amazon. So I applied or I filled out the complaint, returned it to Amazon. And so I can only imagine the story that I've built in my head is someone got the lens.
Yeah.
And then
Swapped
swiped
them.
it. And then
Put the weight in.
Yeah. And returned it back to Amazon, who just weigh it. And those guys don't know what.
Yeah.
It's a brand new lens. Oh, yeah.
They look at it, they see the lens, like, oh, it's there.
Sure.
Scary.
So then I was like, I'm not getting this lens. So then weeks later, I was like, it's not meant to be. I shouldn't have this lens.
Oh, that's sad.
And then I was having troubles with my 24-70 f2.8.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that was your bread and butter.
That's my bread and butter. Love that lens. It's been so good to me. But I knew that that might be the sign that it's time for the 20-70. So then I reached out to you. I said, Michael, I can't find any lenses.
Yeah.
I can't find this anywhere. So thank you for turning me on to Rich.
Rich at Milford Photo. Rich is
Mahalo, Rich.
He's our secret weapon when we can't find lenses or gear. Amazing. I've bought a lot of lenses from them. And he actually, I think he put an order in from you, and he said it'll be a couple weeks or something.
Yeah, it wasn't immediate.
It wasn't immediate, yeah, but he was able to get it done. Yeah. So Milford Photo has been amazing. They haven't asked us for us to mention them. We just use them. We love them. So I guess it's my turn to talk about my favorite RF lenses. Okay, so I have a few answers. I'm buying way more lenses than I should. I'm the one telling people you should only have 5 lenses because after that you can't really use them, right? So here I am with like my 25 lenses at my house. Well, I need them for every system, right? So my bread and butter is a 24-105. That's the workhorse. I like that lens. I use it. It's like the utility lens. But I think the lens that I am in love with for my students is the 100-400 RF. Depending on where you get it, it's less than $700. I have it right here. See? Have you seen it?
No.
Look how light and small that is.
Oh, that's so nice.
So I get a lot of questions, hey, what zoom range should I get in? So this 100-400 range on the EF mount, you're looking at a $2,300 lens in order to use it on an R7 or a 90D. So $2,300 versus that's like $650, sometimes less. And this lens is not 4 times less capable than the nice one that I also have here. So I've been telling everybody, this is a home run lens. If you are an RF shooter, whether for APS-C or full frame, it's a home run. It's not the sharpest lens in the world, but it is sharp enough for the R7. I've zoomed. It's sort of like the R7, the monitor, the EVF. It's not the sharpest EVF, but when you take it and you look at the images on a computer, it's usually fine. So this is my favorite lens that I've been recommending to students. The 16-2.8 is great. The 51.8 is also great. Great values. These are some of these lenses that Canon's making very affordable. But for me, for sport shooting, this is my new favorite lens.
Bro, that's the one.
This is the one. 100-500 RF. I am in love with it. Here is the strange thing. I got this one when it was available. Also from both of these came from Milford Photo, actually. So I got this one and I was shooting. And I was like, I want something a little bit more reach, a little bit more sharp. So ordered the 100-500, and I can't allow myself to sell this. And the reason is it's so light that when I travel, this is a heavy lens. So when I'm shooting around here, sure. If I'm traveling, going to Africa and other places, I'm bringing this one because why? It's light, small. I can bring the 600 or the 800 and I'm good. So I don't know. I think this is going to be the favorite answer. Do you think the 28-70 f2 is the ultimate wedding photographer lens?
I think it's the ultimate lens for
really?
Sure. Yeah. It's
for
so
portraits too, or?
Yeah. It's so nice.
So you're going on record saying that lens is a home run for wedding photographers and portrait photographers. Yes. It's a big, heavy lens.
It's a lot, and you'll feel it after a long day shooting. You'll feel it in the hands, but it's so good that the ratio of perfectly sharp images with the eye detection is crazy good.
So you use eye detection all the time?
All the time.
What percentage are you getting, you think?
Of good ones?
Yeah, keepers.
9 out of 10.
Really? 90%?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. If you would like to get yourself a free Maven filter, all you need to do is to go into the comments below, tell me the size of your lens, 82 millimeters, 77 millimeters, Tell me which filter you want, CPL, 3-stop, 6-stop, 10-stop, UV, and tell me how you're going to use it. And we will pick out a few random winners, and I'll send you some Maven filters pre-release before they're even released to the public. So if you're interested in them, just leave your comments below, and I'll go through and pick out some winners. Thank you for letting me come here to shoot. We're actually in Scott's house today. Thanks for letting us come shoot here. I love talking. When we get together, we just talk about camera stuff. And I was like, oh man, I wish we had a camera recording all this because we have really good discussions about it. Thank you for coming. Thank you everybody for your patience with me. I'm still here, just got a lot of things going on, but I just want to say thank you for support, and I will see you in the next video.
Aloha.